Hi guys, my name's Mary. Welcome to my channel. Back in 2020, my husband and I took a life-changing trip to Wyoming. We are Florida people. We've lived in Florida for most of our lives, and we just decided that rather than going abroad or to Mexico, we would try to stay in the States because of COVID. And I asked my husband where he'd like to go, and he said he wanted to take a trip to Wyoming. So we booked a trip to Jackson Hole, and it was life-changing, to say the least. We really wound up loving it out there. Just nature was just so beautiful. The climate was a lot different from Florida as well. And, it really started making us think, what could we do differently in our lives to make a change and possibly one day wind up living in Wyoming? So we came back home and we started looking at land online, and my husband was looking in one place and I was looking in another. Jackson Hole is too expensive. We couldn't afford to live there, so we said, you know what, let's branch out. So I started looking in towns like Daniel and Pinedale, and my husband he found a small town called DuBois, Wyoming, and it is less than 1,000 people. We started looking at land online. Most of it was very expensive, but we managed to find a couple of lots. One of the lots was buildable. The other one is more of a ravine, so you can't build on it unless you fill in the ravine, which would cost a lot of money. So we decided to buy the two lots. Kind of sight unseen. We did a FaceTime with a realtor, and we made an offer, and our offer was accepted. And so that was in February of 2021 that we bought our land. And then for the next several months, we would travel back and forth to look at our land and to decide, what we were going to do, what we wanted to build, who we were going to try to find a builder. While we were out there, the one thing that we didn't take into consideration is that the town of DuBois is a little over an hour away from Jackson Hole, and in the other direction, it's a little over an hour away from Riverton, Wyoming. So you don't have a lot of options when it comes to builders. You have to try to find one locally. And so we began our search. We met the people across the street from us, who turned out to be lovely people, and we enjoy their company. And so we started looking at builders. We had a builder come out and give us a quote, and it was very high for what we were thinking. We were thinking that we could build a very modest 2-bedroom, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot house for $250,000, $300,000. We wanted to build a barn dominium, but the piece of land that we bought sits above the Wind River, and it's insanely windy on our property. So we talked to a company that we expressed that we wanted to build the barn dominium, but they wouldn't sign off on it. They said on that piece of land, because of the wind, you really need something that's stick built. So we decided to start looking at house plans. We provided the house plans to the builder, and it was probably May of 23 when they started building our house, and it was done in November of 23. But I'm kind of jumping fast forward. Let me go back for a minute. So after we bought the land in 2021, we knew that the housing market was going up. And we had decided that we wanted to get through Christmas of 2021 in our house and then put our house on the market. So I called my realtor, the lady that helped us build our house, and I told her, I said, beginning of the year, I want you to come over, tell me what you think about the house, what needs to be fixed, whatever. My house was only 5 years old, so nothing needed to be fixed. But I was always paranoid that, somebody would come in and see something they didn't like and offer us less money than we thought that it was worth. So the realtor wound up coming in January. She looked at the house. She said, I wouldn't change a thing. Everything's great. In fact, I don't even recommend staging. She said, you have everything perfect. So that excited me. We started packing. We went out and bought a fifth wheel RV to live in, because if we were going to build a house in Wyoming, there was no way that we could afford a mortgage in Florida and a mortgage in Wyoming. So we liquidated our largest asset, which was our house. We put it on the market. I think it was on the market for 3 days, and we had 13 offers. We paid $287 for our house. We did some upgrades we paid cash for, but all in, we probably had about $320 in our house. We were able to sell our house for $515,000. So it was an incredible blessing to us. That extra equity is what we used to secure our builder in Wyoming. In the meantime, we started living in the RV so the house could be sold. And fast forward, we are now, today is December the 31st of 2024. So we have been in this RV for 22, 23, 3 years. So February of 2025 will make 3 years that we've lived in the RV. And I will admit, it's not a perfect way of living. I do like the simplicity of it. I like that I don't have to clean as much. I love that, everything's, within just a couple of steps of me being able to put my hands on it. The downside to that is you don't have a lot of storage space. When you walk, the whole RV moves. We do have animals, so when they go outside, we trek in and out a lot of stuff. So you're constantly sweeping the floors and dusting and things like that. But even that, to me is really not that bad. We have a king size bed in our RV. We have a love seat and a chair, the chair I'm sitting in. Then we have a love seat as well. But, I also have a desk because I work remote 2 days a week. But, so my husband and I both work full time. And when we sold our house and had to move into the RV, it was a little bit of a gut punch to us because we had almost 2,500 square foot house, not a mansion by any means, but we had an in-ground pool, we had a pond, all the things. So when we moved into the RV, it was a big change for us, but it's not a bad change because we knew that we were going to make this sacrifice in order to take the proceeds from the sale of our house to build our house in Wyoming. So we were okay with it, with making the sacrifice. Oops, sorry, just messed up my camera. Anyway, so we met the builder, wonderful human, a master carpenter, and he started working on our build May of 2023. Our house was completed in November of 2023. We actually drove all of our belongings from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way out to Du Bois, Wyoming over the Thanksgiving holiday in 2023. When we were on the road on Thanksgiving Day, and my Thanksgiving dinner was a corn dog, and I think my husband's was some crappy chicken sandwich. But I wouldn't change a second of that because it allowed us to get all of our possessions out to Wyoming, at least everything except for what we have in our RV. We knew that when we built the house, we wouldn't be able to be out there full time yet because my husband is a police sergeant, and he can retire in June of 2026, but we've decided to stay till the end of 2027 in the Jacksonville area until the end of 2027, because the money that he'll make in what they call a drop is, it will definitely benefit us to just stay the extra year and a half. He'll be able to have more money in his pension if we do that. I'm 55, he's 58, so he'll be 61 and a half when we decide, or when we finally retire. I'll be 58 when we retire. I have a job that I'm a project coordinator, a senior project coordinator, and I have a job where I can work remote, and we are kicking around the idea of me potentially taking my job with me to Wyoming, but that's really just going to depend on our finances and if we're able to achieve our goals in the meantime. If we are, then we should be able to live off of my husband's pension just fine. Right now, we're working on becoming debt-free. We just paid off my car, which was a 2020 Toyota CHR, and now we're in the process of paying off the RV and paying off his Ford F-250. We want to be able to take both vehicles with us to Wyoming. The RV we're probably not going to take. We'll probably sell it here locally, but we are firm believers, when you have a debt, you pay off your debt. So that's why we're working hard to get everything paid off. And if we keep on track the way we're going now, we're slated to have the RV and the truck paid off in September of 2026. So that gives us a year and 3 months to be completely debt-free other than the mortgage. And our mortgage, although we have a high interest rate right now because it's considered a second home, and the reason it's considered a second home, even though we don't own another home, because we work in the state of Florida, our income is in the state of Florida, our home is in Wyoming, and they say if you don't earn the money in the state that your home is, it can't be considered your primary residence. So we don't really have a primary residence. We have our RV, and we have it parked on one of my girlfriend's piece of property that she lives on. She's got 3 acres, and she graciously allows us to live on her property rent-free, which is really nice. We just help with the utilities, and we're like our own little community here, and we help her and she helps us, and it works. So I guess you really know or find out the meaning of a friendship when somebody offers you something like this, because it's such a blessing to us that she allows us to park our RV here full time and doesn't ask us for a dime for it. She's pretty generous, and in fact, her generosity makes me want to be more of a giver. My husband's very much a giver, but in life I was never really taught to give. So I'm learning now, even at the age of 55, that giving is so much better than receiving. But anyway, back to the house. So we have a high interest rate on our mortgage in Wyoming, and hopefully we'll be able to refinance in 2025, but at the latest, hopefully in 2027, when we do officially retire, we'll be able to refinance as a primary residence and have a much lower interest rate. Which will make our mortgage more affordable, because right now, can we afford it? Yes. Do we like how high it is? Absolutely not. And at this point, because we both do work full time, we wind up getting to go out to Wyoming about 3 or 4 times a year. Last year, we went out 3 times. Well, 2024, we went out 3 times. We took a cruise during the summer, so we opted to go on the cruise versus going to our house. But flying into Jackson Hole is very expensive in the summer because of Yellowstone season. So we just thought, you know what, let's go to the Caribbean. Let's get our tan on and snorkel and swim and let people wait on us hand and foot, because Lord knows we work hard enough for our money. So we did that instead. But in order to be debt free by the time we get to Wyoming at the end of 2027, sacrifices have to be made. We were paying an additional, I want to say $1,200 a month on my car until we got it paid off, because when I bought my car, I wasn't thinking retirement. I wasn't thinking that I needed to get it paid off in 3 years or 4 years or whatever. So I think I did like a 6-year loan. Well, then we quickly realized, oh, we need to get this stuff paid off. So it was the smallest of the 3 debts. And those are our only debts. It was our only debt, the 2 vehicles and the RV, besides our mortgage, obviously. But so we got my car paid off first. Now we're attacking the RV, the 5th wheel, and the my husband's F-250. And as long as we stay on track, we should have them both paid off September of 2026. Takes sacrifice financially to throw an additional, I don't know, our RV payment's like $455 a month. I pay $1,700 on it every month. I basically just took the difference from what I was paying extra on my car, and now all of that goes on to the RV. We also pay a couple $100 extra on his truck every month. So the more you pay every month, the sooner you get it paid off, which means the less interest you pay. So you're paying less for something that you have financed the quicker you pay it off. And I've always been a big Dave Ramsey fan. I love the idea of the debt snowball, and you take your smallest bill and you pay, or your smallest debt, and you pay it off first, and then you take whatever money you were paying on that, and then you put it on your next smallest debt, and then you just keep going and going and going. And that's kind of what we've done, because over the years we've financed a refrigerator, or we've financed a trip, or we've had our share of credit card debt as well. And so in order to retire at the end of 2027, we knew that we really needed to do something drastic. And so what we decided to do was go ahead and build the house, have it done, and make sure that we have a mortgage that even in retirement, if we don't refinance it, we would be able to afford the mortgage. And we can afford the mortgage in retirement with my husband's pension, but we really don't want to pay that high of an interest rate. Interest rates were terrible in 2023, and they're even higher on a second home. So right now our goal is to hopefully get it refinanced either in the upcoming year or by the time we get ready to retire, so we can realize a smaller interest rate and pay less of a mortgage every month. So anyway, in order to make our dream happen, my husband, he's the worker bee. We both work, but he's a police sergeant, and so he has the ability to work extra and do off duty. 58 years old, not really what you want to do. You want to start winding down in life at 58. You don't want to have to go out and work harder. But when you have big dreams, sacrifice has to happen. And so he sacrifices by working off-duty jobs to pay for things like if we want to take a vacation, or if we had to have an expense and we put it on a credit card. He works extra so that the money that we have in our budget monthly to pay extra on those other debts, we don't have to touch that. We don't have to alter our budget in order to travel or to, you know, like I said, pay off a credit card, or if we have a child that has a need. We have 5 kids between us. They're all adults, but they still have needs. And so if they have a need and we help them, his off duty definitely comes in handy. And we are pretty spoiled. We do love to travel. Right now we're kind of limiting it to maybe 1 cruise a year and then 3 to 4 trips to Wyoming. We're not really doing anything else yet, mostly because we do work full time and we don't get a ton of time off at once. Like, you know, we could do probably a week at a time, but, you know, we can't go take some European river cruise or go to Europe for a month because we both work. Hopefully in retirement we can do things like that if we're really smart with our money. And we haven't completely shut out the idea of maybe working part-time in retirement, because to be honest with you, one of the biggest things that we're concerned about is healthcare. Right now we pay $600 a month for healthcare. It will probably go up to about $1,000 or $1,200 a month in retirement, unless you know, we can get a subsidy like through Obamacare, which I did look at, and it looks like we will qualify. Even with my husband's pension, we should qualify for a subsidy from Obamacare. It's not a ton of money, but it's something. It makes a difference, and so obviously we definitely will probably apply for that. I am going to take my retirement at 62. Could I get more if I waited till I was 70? Yes, but tomorrow's not promised. And to be honest with you, at 62, I could use the money, so I'm going to take it. And I was watching a YouTube video not too long ago where there actually was a guy that did a comparison, somebody that took their retirement. Now, consider it, you have to just think like these people make the same amount of money, and they're going to get the exact same amount of money in retirement. So let's say Sue takes her retirement or her Social Security at 62, and Joanne decides she's going to wait till she's 70. Well, based on the numbers, the guy that I was watching his video, he said that he did the math. I didn't fact check him on it, but he said that for somebody that waits to take their Social Security at 70 versus taking it at 62, you might get a little bit less money versus waiting till you're 70. But it will take these 70-year-olds until they're 79 to actually catch up with the amount of money that the person that took their Social Security at 62 gets. Hopefully I'm not confusing you by telling you this, but basically taking it at 62, the 70-year-old, it would take 9 years for them to get the exact same amount of money that I'm going to get between 62 and 79. I'm getting mine in smaller spurts, but I'm getting it 8 years sooner. And so for our family and our needs, that's what we think is going to work best for us, unless we come into some windfall of money, which I don't really see happening. Then I'll be taking my Social Security at 62. Anyway, so we work off of a budget every month. I have a spreadsheet on my iPad and I follow it religiously. What's left is what we live off of for 2 weeks. And we could live a lot better if we weren't paying extra on his truck and on the RV to have them paid off. But because being debt-free means so much to us, we decided to live a little bit tighter, if you will. We still can go out to eat if we want to. We just try not to go out to eat all the time. We can still travel, and have a little bit of mad money. But at the end of the day, my husband's off-duty work that he does pays for that. So we don't even have to cut into like grocery money or gas. And The first thing that I do every 2 weeks, because we both get paid every 2 weeks and we both get paid the same week every 2 weeks, so that works out really well. But the first thing that I do is I pay the bills. I don't go by Starbucks. I don't go to the grocery store. I don't do anything. I don't go out to eat. I pay the bills. Once the bills are paid, we fill our vehicles up with gas, and then we buy groceries. And so for 2 weeks, we're probably averaging, let's just say we have plenty of money to live off of for 2 weeks after groceries, after gas, after all the bills are paid. We're just two people. But if we were to eat out every day or go and spend excessive amounts of money, we'd be broke. We just choose not to do those things so we can retire, be debt free, other than our mortgage. That's the key, other than our mortgage, because building a house in Wyoming is not cheap. We paid $500,000 to build a 1,200 square foot house in Du Bois, Wyoming. Part of the expense was the distance we were from the next major town. Concrete had to be driven over an hour, to get to us. Our builder, it was a company that we went through, but the guy that built our house, our angel, if you will, because he built our house and it is meticulous. It's airtight. I could not walk in and find one thing wrong, and I'm kind of OCD, so I'm constantly noticing things that aren't right, things that could be better. And in this house, I did not find that at all. I feel super blessed to own a home in another state. I do feel like I'm living kind of a gypsy lifestyle in the meantime. But you know what? We have everything we need. We really have everything that we want. And you really learn whether or not you love your partner when you live in an RV, because you are in such tight quarters. We haven't killed each other yet, and we don't plan to. We both know that this is the sacrifice that we had to make our dream happen. And to be honest with you, the sacrifice, it's really not that bad. I don't know too many people that can say that they're, in their mid-50s and in 3 years they're going to retire. Most people are working till they're 65 and beyond. And, my husband's pension is the reason we'll be able to retire sooner than later. So if you are a young person and you're watching this, my biggest advice would be to definitely start putting money into a 401k. And if you have a job where you are thinking about a career that's pensionable, definitely look into that, because a pension is what will get you through when you retire, because Social Security is nominal. It's really not a lot of money. It's definitely something, but it's not what you would think you would get for working 58 years of your life. You'd think it would be worth a lot more, and it's just not. And we don't know if it's going to be here tomorrow. Social Security, people are always saying, oh, it's going to go away, it's going to be bankrupt by the time we get to take it. Well, I don't necessarily believe that, but I do know that it makes a difference. Having a 401k, having a pension, being debt free, all of those things are super important. Another thing that I would do differently if I could, I would definitely live in a tiny house. I would, as a young person, I would not buy a big house. the bigger the house, the more things you buy, the more things that you have. It just happens. And to live a more simple life with less things means that you're not spending as much money, and that money can go for something better, like paying a credit card off, or your car, maybe throwing an extra couple $100s a month on it versus going and buying furniture you don't need, or clothes you don't need, or any of those things. So, you know, if you're a young person, I would really consider tiny house living. If it's just one person, even a couple, or maybe even a small family with one child or two kids. I've seen people living in tiny houses that have more than one child, and they make it work. You know, the floor plans out there for tiny houses, it's just insane. The amount of different styles and types of tiny houses, container homes, all those things that cost you way less than a traditional house will cost you. But anyway, it's been great talking to you. I hope you've enjoyed this 30 minutes of me letting you know what our plan is. I'm going to have my husband on with me sometime soon. In the near future. He's working today to make our dream happen, and I just got off work. So anyway, thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, and God bless.